There are places in America where the world feels different, a little quieter, a little older. The Appalachian Mountains are one of those places. Here the fog rolls in before dawn, filling the hollows like a living thing. Trees creak in the wind. Shadows linger longer than they should. Locals will tell you the Appalachians aren't just mountains, they're alive. And if you listen long enough, you'll realize these woods are filled with sounds you can't explain. Some are beautiful, a distant songbird, the wind through tall grass, but others aren't so friendly. If you spend enough nights out here, you'll hear things that make your skin crawl, whispers that sound like your own voice, music with no source, laughter in the dark. Tonight, I'm going to share with you some of the strangest true stories ever told from these mountains, all tied together by one thing: the unknown sounds that haunt the Appalachian night. Let's start with Tom, a man who thought he knew every inch of these woods until the night he heard something impossible. He'd lived in the Appalachians all his life. Hiking alone at dusk was nothing new, but in the fall of 2017, Tom set off for a familiar ridge, the leaves crunching under his boots, sky burning orange with sunset. It was quiet, almost too quiet, not even crickets, that's when he heard it. His mother's voice, calling his name, drifting from somewhere in the trees. At first he laughed it off. His mother was home, miles away. But the voice came again, closer and sharper. "Tommy, come here, please." He stopped cold. He wanted to answer, but the words felt wrong, as if someone was imitating her, but missing something vital. Then he heard footsteps in the leaves behind him, matching his pace, stopping when he stopped. He turned but saw nothing. The footsteps grew heavier, as if whatever was following him was getting braver. Tom forced himself not to run. He walked as calmly as he could back to his truck. The voice kept calling, softer now, like a memory fading. When he reached the road, the sound stopped. He never hiked alone again. What did Tom hear that night? He still can't explain it, but he isn't the only one. I once met a man named William back in the summer of '92. He was new to our town, a teacher, quiet, curious about the old stories folks like me grew up with. He loved to hike the mountains alone, said it helped clear his mind. I warned him, like my father warned me, if you hear music in the woods, especially at dusk, don't follow it, not even a step. One evening, William set out on an old trail that winds behind the abandoned church up the ridge. He planned to watch the sunset from the overlook, a good spot, but a little too close to the deep woods for my taste. He said the woods were quiet, no birds, no bugs, just the sound of his boots and the steady rhythm of his breath. Then just as the sky turned purple, he heard it, a violin, soft, sad, as if someone was playing from a far-off hill. He kept walking, but the music stayed with him, closer now, following every turn in the trail. It was beautiful, hypnotic. William said he felt pulled, like someone had a string tied around his chest. He forgot about the time. He forgot about the trail. He just walked, eyes on the shadows, ears full of that strange, impossible melody. Then the violin stopped. Suddenly he was alone. He realized he didn't know where he was. The trees looked different, twisted, unfamiliar. That's when he heard something else, a voice soft and low, humming the same tune the violin had played. He spun around, nothing but fog and darkness. William did what most don't. He closed his eyes and hummed the tune back just to prove he wasn't afraid. Then, as suddenly as it began, the fog lifted. He was back on the main trail, not far from his car. He never heard the music again. But he told me before he left town that sometimes, just before sleep, he'd wake up with that melody in his head, and he'd feel the pull to go back into the woods just one more time. Some say the Fiddler song is just a story, but William was never the same after that night. If you think the mountains are done surprising you, think again. There's a place just past Miller's Hollow where the locals say the woods get thicker, the air heavier. Folks won't go there after sunset, not after what happened to the Harlan twins. It was the summer of '04. Ethan and Jacob Harlan were inseparable, always hiking, always searching for the next adventure. One July night, they slipped away from a family cookout, determined to camp alone in Miller's Hollow for the first time. At first it was fun. They built a fire, roasted marshmallows, and made up stories about ghosts and hidden gold. But as the night grew colder, Ethan began to notice something strange. Periodic bursts of laughter echoing through the woods. It sounded like children playing. But there were no kids for miles. Jacob joked, "Maybe the mountain kids are inviting us to play." But Ethan didn't laugh. He realized the laughter had no source. It was everywhere and nowhere, circling their camp. He swore he saw small shadows flitting between the trees just outside the firelight. The Harlan twins never talked much about what happened next, but their mother told me years later she found them at dawn, muddy, shivering, standing by the edge of their backyard. When she asked what happened, Ethan just said, "They wanted us to play. We said no, so they tried to chase us home." He's never set foot in Miller's Hollow since. Neighbors say sometimes after midnight you can still hear children laughing in the hollow. And if you stand very still, you might see small footprints in the mud, going in circles, leading nowhere. Maybe some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Maybe the mountains have their own kind of children, made of mist, shadow, and old forgotten dreams. 3 stories, 3 names spoken softly in the dark. Tom heard his mother's voice, but his mother was never there. William followed a song, but there was no one playing, and the Harlan twins laughed, until something laughed back. In the Appalachian Mountains, sound is never just sound. It's a whisper, a lure, a warning. Sometimes what you hear isn't meant for you. Sometimes it's calling something through you. So next time you hear music with no source, a voice that shouldn't know your name, or children laughing where there are no children, don't follow it. Don't answer. Just remember, these are not stories. These are echoes. And here on Sounds of the Unknown, we only speak when the forest is listening.